I've taken that road 100 times, always late at night, always with music low and windows cracked open to fight sleep. But the last time I drove Highway 18, there was a man standing in the middle of the road, not walking, not stumbling, just standing perfectly still, like he'd been placed there on purpose. I slammed the brakes so hard my tires screamed against the wet pavement, and my car spun slightly, headlights sweeping across the trees. But when I looked back, he hadn't moved, not 1 inch, not one blink. At first, I thought maybe he was in shock. Maybe a deer had run out, or maybe he'd been in a wreck. But when I flicked my high beams on, that feeling in my gut shifted. His clothes were all wrong. It was summer, but he wore a thin white shirt, almost translucent in the light, tucked into pants that looked dated, like something out of the 40s. He wasn't soaked, but the air was thick with mist, and yet he didn't even shiver. He stood directly in my lane, not flinching, not acknowledging my headlights, just staring slightly to the left, not at me, just past me. I opened my window halfway and called out, "Hey, you all right?" Nothing, just the sound of my engine idling and the soft hiss of wind through pine trees. I waited maybe 15 seconds, then flicked my brights again. Still nothing. That's when I noticed he wasn't casting a shadow. Everything else, the guardrail, the trees, even a possum further back, they all had long, distinct shadows from my high beams. But not him. And I swear to you, he was in the light. I shifted into reverse, inching my car back while keeping my eyes locked on him. My heart wasn't just beating, it was thudding. Not fast, just hard, like every thump echoed in my ears. When I checked my rear view, the road behind me was pitch black, no headlights, no taillights, just the long stretch of Highway 18 disappearing into the fog. I looked back at him, still there, still watching whatever was behind me. That's when I noticed something even worse than the lack of a shadow. His feet weren't touching the road. It was just slight, barely noticeable, maybe an inch. But once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. My hands were trembling. I've never been the type to scare easily. I used to laugh at ghost stories, but something about that moment, about that man, tore through every rational bone in my body. I didn't drive forward. I couldn't. I put the car in reverse and backed up nearly a quarter mile until I found a shoulder to pull a 3-point turn. When I finally turned around, headlights sweeping the spot where he'd stood, he was gone. I drove home with every interior light on. I didn't sleep that night. 2 days later, I checked the dash cam. I didn't even want to. I nearly convinced myself not to, but curiosity, or maybe obsession, made me do it. And he was there, standing exactly as I remembered, motionless. But here's the part that still gives me chills. The time of that moment wasn't when I saw him. It was 20 minutes before I ever reached that stretch of road. I scrubbed through the footage. He wasn't just in that one moment. He appeared several times, always in the same position, sometimes on the shoulder, sometimes reflected faintly in road signs, in one frame, and I can't explain how this is possible. I saw him behind me, in the back seat, just for a second. I don't drive Highway 18 anymore, but every now and then, I'll see stories on local forums, posts titled, "Who's the guy standing on the road near marker 56?" Or, "Is that actor prank still going on out near the woods?" They all describe the same man, same shirt, same expression, same stance, always standing in the same spot. the weirdest part. That section of Highway 18 was permanently closed for construction 5 years ago. But the posts, they're still coming in. Asterisk, the GPS rerouted me after a minor accident on the interstate. Just a flat tire and a bit of traffic backup, nothing serious. I was trying to get to a cousin's wedding 2 states over, and the detour didn't look too bad. According to the map, it would only add about 30 minutes to the trip, and it would take me through a more scenic rural area. The sun had just dipped below the horizon when I took the exit off the highway. By the time I reached the outskirts of that back road stretch, full darkness had settled in. At first, the road was peaceful. No other cars, tall pine trees lining the sides. My headlights cast long beams through the winding curves, and the hum of tires on asphalt was oddly soothing. But then the GPS pinged, in 1.7 miles, turn right onto Hollow Creek Tunnel. That name caught me off guard. I hadn't seen anything about a tunnel when I looked at the map earlier. I zoomed out. Nothing labeled Hollow Creek Tunnel appeared on any of the previous route previews. The road ahead twisted downward, and sure enough, maybe half a mile, in the mouth of a tunnel emerged from the darkness. It was built into the hillside, framed by crumbling stone and wrapped in vines. No lights, no signs, just a yawning mouth of blackness with barely enough space for a single vehicle. My GPS didn't hesitate. Turn right now. I slowed to a crawl. I should have turned around right then and there. Every instinct screamed that this wasn't right, but I kept going, maybe out of curiosity, maybe out of stubbornness. As soon as I entered the tunnel, the GPS lost signal. The map glitched, then froze. My screen went blank. The interior of the tunnel swallowed the headlights, and my vision was limited to maybe 20 feet ahead. Damp stone walls pressed in on either side, dripping with condensation. The road beneath me was narrow, uneven, and seemed to slope gently downward. That's when I noticed the air change. Inside the tunnel, it was colder, much colder. The temperature dropped at least 15 degrees, and I could see my breath. The windows fogged from the inside, and I had to wipe them with my sleeve to see. Then the radio turned on by itself, not to music, too static, sharp, and loud. I reached to turn it off, but before I could, it cut to a voice, not a broadcast. My voice, a perfect echo of my own tone, my pitch, even the same breath pattern. And it said, "Don't stop, keep driving, no matter what you see." I froze. My hand hovered just inches from the dial. The voice repeated it again. "Don't stop, keep driving, no matter what you see." I turned off the radio and turned on the cabin light, but the tunnel swallowed that too. It felt like the darkness inside wasn't just absence of light. It was something heavier. I started to see things, shapes, silhouettes along the walls. At first, they looked like shadows of people standing shoulder to shoulder, as if lining a parade route, still, silent, watching my foot pressed harder on the gas. But no matter how long I drove, I couldn't see the end of the tunnel. That's when I passed something unmistakable. My own car, parked along the right side of the tunnel. Same color, same dent on the bumper, same cracked side mirror. I stared at it, heart hammering. There was no driver, no license plate, just the shell. I kept going, and then another one. Same car, same angle, same parking position. 6 identical copies of my car, each one in the exact same spot along the wall. each one a perfect replica. And then I saw someone inside one of them, sitting in the driver's seat, head tilted down. You went unflick. It looked like me. No, it was me. I didn't stop. I couldn't. I floored it. Tires screeched. Tunnel walls blurred. And for the first time, I saw the faint glow of daylight ahead. I burst out of the tunnel so fast the tires lost traction and the car spun 180 degrees. I stopped just short of a gravel ditch. When I looked back, the tunnel entrance was gone. Behind me, only dense forest. No stone, no road, nothing but trees. The GPS reconnected. Return to route, it said. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely put the car in gear. I eventually found my way back to the main highway. I drove the rest of the trip in total silence. No music, no GPS, just me and the road. Days later, I searched for anything about Hollow Creek Tunnel. Double quotes. Nothing. No records. No mentions. No photos. But once a week, ever since that drive, I get a voicemail from an unknown number. It's just static, and then my voice whispering, "Don't stop, keep driving, no matter what you see." I left work around 11:45 p.m. The closing shift always dragged, but I didn't mind the long drive home. I lived about an hour out, 2-lane roads most of the way, cutting through farmland and forest. No traffic, no city noise, just darkness and distance. That night, I filled up at a gas station near the edge of town, grabbed a soda, and got back. On the road, I'd been driving for about 15 minutes when I noticed the headlights behind me. A truck. It was a big one of those old boxy commercial types. Tall cab, wide grille, loud engine. I assumed it was someone heading home after a haul. No big deal. But then it didn't pass. I was going 5 over the limit, and the road ahead was empty for miles. The truck stayed behind me, headlights bright, but never tried to overtake. I thought maybe the driver was being cautious. But after 10 minutes, then 20, then nearly 40, the truck still tailgated me. I changed lanes. The truck followed. I slowed down to let them pass. They slowed down too. I sped up, nothing too reckless, just enough to make it clear I didn't want them behind me. But the truck matched every move. That's when I started feeling it, the awareness, that weird electric prickling in your spine when something isn't just wrong, it's off. I checked my rear view. The truck had no visible license plate, just mud-caked metal and flickering orange running lights on top. I grabbed my phone, just to text someone, a timestamp, a license, anything. But I had no signal, not even a single bar. The road dipped into a wooded stretch, tall oaks on both sides. That's when the truck did something new. It turned off its headlights. I blinked hard, thought maybe they'd shorted out. But no, I could still hear the engine, still see the faint silhouette of the cab behind me. It was following in the dark, no lights, no signals, just me and this massive machine ghosting behind. I swerved into a gas station up ahead, a tiny 24-hour place with one flickering sign. As I pulled in, the truck didn't follow. It passed slowly, and in the dim station lighting, I saw the driver, or rather, I didn't. The cab windows were pitch black, not tinted, blacked out, like they'd been painted over from the inside. The truck rolled by at about 10 miles per hour, humming loudly, then disappeared back into the dark road. I stayed there for 10 full minutes, pretending to check my tire pressure while watching the road. Finally, I got back in and continued driving. 10 miles later, it was back, just behind me. No headlights, no plate, no sound at first, then the hum of the engine returned. Louder. Now I floored it. Took a sharp right onto a gravel road I barely recognized. My tires screamed, but I didn't stop. Dust flew. Branches scraped the side of my car. I looped through a back route that connected to the next county and pulled into the parking lot of a local police station. I jumped out, heart pounding. The truck never arrived. I told the officers. They checked cameras, reviewed nearby traffic footage. Nothing. No truck. No sign of me being followed. No vehicle of that description had passed through that section in over a week. I insisted they check again. One of them pulled me aside, asked calmly, "Was it loud?" I nodded. "Did the cab have black windows?" I froze. He let out a slow breath. "We get about 2 reports a year. Always a truck. Always no plate. Always silent until it's not." I asked if they'd ever caught it. The officer shook his head. "No cameras ever pick it up. Even dashcams glitch when it shows up. But people keep seeing it. I haven't seen the truck since, but sometimes, when I'm driving at night, I'll glance in the rear view, and just for a moment, I swear, I see that empty windshield, the shape of that cab, the faint hum, right on the edge of hearing. Waiting. Asterisk. I was 3 states into a long solo drive, heading home after visiting my sister. It was around 2:30 a.m., and I was beyond exhausted. My eyelids were getting heavy, and I'd already opened every window and blasted cold air to keep myself awake. I knew I needed to stop. Just a short break. Maybe a nap. Anything to reset before I ran off the road. That's when I saw a green highway sign up ahead. Rest stop number 46 to 1 mile. The font was faded, but I remember the number clearly when I pulled in. The place was almost too perfect. A wide lot, freshly painted lines, 2 covered picnic benches, a vending machine humming quietly near the bathrooms, and best of all, no other cars. I parked under a light and reclined my seat. Just a quick nap, I told myself. 15 minutes. I woke up to silence. No birds, no wind, no cars. I sat up and rubbed my eyes. My phone said 3:42 a.m. Something felt wrong. The lights above me were still on, but everything else looked different. The grass around the lot was longer, untamed. The vending machine was gone. The bathrooms, which I hadn't used before, were now padlocked shut with rusted chains across both doors. The signs had changed. The one that used to read, "Rest stop number 46," now just said, "Facility closed permanently. No maintenance." I stood there for a minute, confused, wondering if I'd just misread everything before the nap. Maybe I'd dreamed part of it. Then I noticed the cars, 3 of them, all parked at odd angles near the edge of the lot. Each one had the driver's door wide open, no one inside, no lights. But when I leaned in closer, I realized it wasn't coffee. It was dry, flaking, dark brown blood. I stepped back, pulse racing. I called out, "Hello." Nothing. I turned to the next car, an old white sedan. There were kids' toys scattered across the back seat, a juice box crushed into the upholstery. The keys were still in the ignition. Engine off, but the dashcam light was blinking red. I reached in and tapped the screen. It began to play a recent clip. The footage showed the inside of the car. A man in the driver's seat. A woman next to him. 2 kids in the back, sleeping. The man glanced into the rear-view mirror, then turned to his wife. "Did you see someone near the bathrooms just now?" She shook her head. Then something passed the back window, quickly, like a blur. The woman gasped, "There, did you?" And then the video, glitched. It scrambled hard, loud static when it resumed. The car was empty, all 4 doors wide open. The timestamp was 2 hours earlier. I backed away, heart in my throat. That's when I heard a sound. Footsteps, not from the lot, but from behind the bathroom. Building. Slow, deliberate. 1 step, then another. I didn't wait to see who or what it was. I sprinted to my car, slammed the door, and peeled out of the lot. Mean the one they tore down 10 years ago? My stomach dropped. No, it's still there. I was just at it an hour ago. She shook her head slowly. "Sweetheart, that rest stop's been closed since 2015. There's nothing there now but weeds and concrete." She paused. "Why? Did you see something?" I didn't answer. I just left. A few days later, I checked Google Maps. There's a pin for rest stop #for5, and then nothing until #for7. No record of number 46 ever existing. No photos. Just an empty stretch of road. But if you stop there, right at the mile marker, and roll down your window, some people say you can still hear the doors creaking open, one by one. I was halfway through a 9-hour drive, somewhere between Colorado and Utah, when I first saw it, my car. I know how that sounds, but I swear to you, it was my car. Same make, same model, same color. Even the exact same license plate number. I was sipping warm gas station coffee and watching the road unfold. When it passed me on the left, the driver didn't look over. I only caught a glimpse, a dark figure behind the wheel, but the shape, the way the car moved, it felt familiar. At first, I brushed it off as coincidence. There were plenty of sedans on the road. Maybe I'd misread the plate, but 20 minutes later, I saw it again, parked on the shoulder ahead. I slowed as I passed. The car was off, windows tinted, but something about the way it sat there, like it was waiting. My heart thumped, but I kept going. Another 30 miles, another sighting. This time, I passed it on a bridge. It was behind me, in the other lane. My mirror caught the reflection of its headlights. Same cracked fog light on the left. Same bumper sticker on the rear. The exact same car. I pulled off at the next rest area, heart racing. I took pictures of my license plate, just to be sure I wasn't losing it. Walked around my car. Everything matched. I sat there for a while, convincing myself I was overcured, maybe hallucinating. Back on the road, I didn't see it for nearly an hour. Then I came over a rise, and there it was, in front of me, driving slow, like it was trying to make sure I saw it this time. I got close enough to read the plate, my exact number, and then the driver turned just slightly, and I saw my own face behind the wheel. Blank. Emotionles. Like a mannequin wearing my skin, my body. Went cold. The duplicate car swerved off the road and vanished behind a row of trees. I pulled over and sat there, sweating. I even slapped myself hard, just to make sure I was awake. Eventually, I kept driving. For the next several hours, nothing happened. No strange cars. No doppelgangers. I almost convinced myself it had all been a stress dream. But just as I was approaching my motel for the night, I passed a small used car lot. Dozens of cars, all identical to mine, every single one. Same dents, same plate. Looked through my windshield at the lot, but there was no sign, no name, no office, just cars, silent, parked, all of them with fogged-up windows, and in the driver's seat of every Ewine silhouette, slumped, motionless. I looked down at my dashboard. My GPS was off. My phone battery, which had been at 42%. In the rearview mirror, I saw someone sitting behind me, my exact face, smiling. I turned around, heart pounding, but the back seat was empty. I drove away. Didn't stop until I was 4 towns over. When I checked the maps later, there was no dealership at that location. I've seen a few forums since then, posts titled things like, "Has anyone else seen their own car while driving?" Or, "What does it mean to see yourself behind the wheel of another vehicle?" Some people say it's a glitch, others say it's a warning. But one comment stuck with me. It just said, "If you ever catch up to your other self, don't stop, don't look inside." That version wants to trade places. I was 17 when I took my first long solo drive at night. My dad had finally let me borrow the family truck to drive out to a friend's cabin in Idaho. Said it would be good for my independence. What he didn't know, what I didn't even know until it was too late, was that the road I took had a reputation. Local kids called it the corridor, a 2-lane stretch through dense pine woods, pitch black at night, with no lights, no guardrails, and barely a shoulder to pull off on. It was around 10:40 p.m. when I entered it. The forest swallowed me whole. My headlights barely lit the edges of the trees. I turned the radio down, then off. It felt wrong to have music playing. After about 20 minutes of driving, I noticed something odd. I passed a road sign. It read, "Glenn's Curve, reduce speed." A minute later, I passed the exact same sign. Same dents, same graffiti. A red spray-painted smiley face across the word Glenn. I slowed down, rubbed my eyes. Then it happened again. Another Glenn's Curve sign. This one was more bent, but the same graffiti, same bullet holes. I wasn't looping. I hadn't turned. There were no exits, and yet the same landmark kept repeating. Then I noticed the air. It had gone still, not calm, still, like the whole forest was holding its breath. And that's when I saw the woman. She stepped out from the woods, maybe 50 feet ahead. She wore a long beige coat, like something from the 1960s. Her hair hung in tangled waves. One of her hands dragged slightly behind her. I swerved to avoid her, slammed the brakes. But when I looked in the rearview mirror, there was no one there, just the road, and trees, and that same sign again. I drove faster. My hands gripped the wheel tight. I told myself I'd be out of the woods soon, but 10 minutes later, still no end, no cell service, no moonlight, no other cars. Then I saw her again, this time crouching in the middle of the road, same coat. But now her head was turned upward, like she was waiting to be hit. I swerved again, screamed, kept going. But now the forest felt wrong. Trees leaned too close. The darkness got thicker, like fog, but there was no moisture. And worst of all, the sound of my engine had changed. It was quieter, duller, like I was underwater. Then my radio turned itself on. Nothing but static. I reached to turn it off, but a voice broke through. "You missed her again." I stared at the dashboard. The voice wasn't mine. She's been trying to show you the turn. I hit the power button. Nothing happened. The voice continued. If you keep ignoring her, you'll never leave. I slammed on the brakes. The static stopped. The forest fell silent. I sat there, unsure if I should turn back, or wait, or drive forward. Then I looked to my right. The woman stood 5 feet from the passenger window. This time I saw her face, pale, almost gray, lips parted, but not breathing. Her eyes were wide and wet and locked onto mine. She didn't move, but she slowly pointed, behind me, just one finger, toward the trees. I turned a path, a narrow dirt path between the pines, barely visible. I didn't think. I reversed, turned, and drove into the path. Branches scraped the truck. My headlights flickered. For a second I thought I was just going deeper into the woods. But then I emerged on a wide gravel road. Streetlights, a gas station, about a quarter-mile down the corridor, was gone. I pulled over at the station and sat there until sunrise. The clerk behind the counter didn't even blink when I asked about the corridor. He just nodded. You're lucky. That place keeps people sometimes. Then he leaned forward. Next time you hear her, stop. Let her show you the way out. I've never taken that route again. But sometimes, late at night, when the radio slips into static for a second too long, I swear I hear her breathing. Asterisk, I used to drive for a medical courier service. Most nights were uneventful. You pick up some blood samples, take them to a lab, sign a clipboard, go home. But one night, my last night, I was sent to a rural hospital about 40 miles out. The roads leading there were empty. No houses, no gas stations, just long, curving asphalt and cornfields. I picked up the samples around 1:15 a.m. and started the return trip to the city around 1:40. I saw a car ahead of me on the shoulder, hazard lights blinking, hood popped, someone pacing beside it. I slowed down instinctively. The man waved me over, but something was wrong. He wasn't pacing like he was anxious. He was moving back and forth mechanically, like a loop. I rolled my window down an inch. He stopped and turned toward me. His smile was too wide. His eyes didn't look tired. They looked blank. "Can you help?" he asked. I said I didn't have tools, that I had a delivery. He just kept smiling. "It's already broken. I just need you to look inside." He pointed at the open hood. I didn't move. Then he did something that chilled me. He turned and walked directly into the cornfield. Didn't say another word. Didn't wave goodbye. Just vanished into the stalks like he'd never been there. I rolled up my window, drove forward, but kept looking at the rearview mirror. His car was gone. Not just empty. Gone. No blinking lights. No trace, I told myself. I was tired. That maybe I'd imagined it. But 5 minutes later, I passed another vehicle. Same make, same blinking lights, same popped hood. And standing next to it was the same man, same jacket, same too-wide grin, same blank eyes. I didn't slow down this time, but I swear I saw his mouth move. Just one word. "Look." I pressed the gas. My hands were shaking. My brain was trying to justify it. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe it was twins. Maybe I imagined both. But then I glanced down at the blood samples on the seat beside me. The cooler had opened. One of the vials was empty. The label had been scratched out in its place, written in shaky marker, "I tease yours." I nearly ran off the road, pulled over, heart pounding, opened the lid again. Every vial was intact, labeled, sealed, no handwriting. Had I imagined that too? I made it to the lab, dropped everything off, didn't say a word, got back in my car and started the ride home. I was about 20 minutes from my apartment when my headlights caught something ahead. A third car, same make, same hazard lights, but this time the hood was closed. The man wasn't pacing. He was standing in the middle of the road, not moving, just waiting. I swerved around him, didn't look back. I didn't sleep when I got home the next morning. I called the courier service and quit. I said I didn't want night routes anymore. But even now, if I'm driving late and I see hazard lights blinking in the dark, I keep going because I don't know what he wants. But I know he's not looking for help. He just wants someone to look. I used to drive Uber in a quiet suburban area just outside a small city. Late nights were usually slow, especially on weekdays. I was about to clock out around 2:30 a.m. when I got a ping. The pickup location was strange. A stretch of road with no businesses, no houses, just woods on either side. I almost declined, but I needed one more ride to hit a bonus. When I pulled up, there was no one in sight, just fog creeping across the pavement and trees swaying in the wind. I waited. After about 30 seconds, a woman appeared from between the trees. She wasn't running, just walking slowly, pale skin, long dark hair, wearing what looked like a formal black dress, the kind you'd wear to a funeral. I rolled the passenger window down a little. "Are you Maria?" I asked, reading the name on the request. She didn't respond. She just got in the back seat and shut the door gently. I looked at the app. The drop-off was even farther into the woods, a place I'd never been. I glanced at her through the rear-view mirror. Her eyes were closed. "Are you okay?" I asked. Still no response, just slow, steady breathing. I started driving. A few minutes in, I noticed the temperature had dropped. My breath was fogging up the windshield. I checked the AC. It was off. The heater was on, but it didn't feel like it. The woman in the back hadn't moved, her head tilted slightly to the side, eyes still closed. Then I heard her whisper something. I couldn't make it out. "Sorry, what was that?" She didn't repeat it. I felt uneasy. I tried to glance back, but she suddenly sat upright. "Don't stop," she said. Her voice was quiet but clear. "Not until I'm gone." I nodded, eyes back on the road. The GPS showed the destination was about 5 minutes away, at the end of a dead-end road surrounded by trees. The fog got thicker at one point. I could barely see a foot ahead. My high beams just lit up whiteness. Suddenly, my phone went dark. The Uber app closed. GPS froze. My music cut out too. Just static now. I slowed down. "I think I lost the signal," I said. "Can you tell me where we're here?" she interrupted. I looked up. The road just ended. There was nothing. Just trees. No house. No driveway. No lights. I turned around. She was gone. No door opening. No sound. Just an empty back seat. I got out of the car, spun in a circle with my flashlight. Nothing but fog and forest. My back seat was ice cold. Her scent still lingered, a faint trace of lilac and something burnt. I turned the car around and sped back toward the city. When I checked the trip history later, there was no record of a Maria. Nothing. At 2:30 a.m. My ride count still showed one short of the bonus, and the app never pinged again from that area. I stopped driving nights after that, but sometimes I get curious. I drive back out there on purpose, and every now and then I see her, just a woman in black, standing in the woods, waiting, but I never stop.